paid enough, but we'll deal with that issue when we get there. The type of article, right? And this is where those of you without the book are going to run into a little bit of trouble. No, it's in the APA manual, so it might be at apa.org. If you can't find it, let me know. The types of article was the reading for today, right? So in your APA manual, there's a heading, types of article. Can you identify what kind of article this is? And that isn't typically something you would actually highlight in a summary, but I think it's something important that you need to know. Right? You need to understand what kind of art. Is it quantitative? Is it qualitative? Right? Is it a meta-analysis? Is it a literature review? It's important to be able to identify that. So we're going to practice it a little bit. Right? Next step is to find the purpose statement. All right? Now, most articles have an abstract at the beginning. And the abstract will give you a purpose statement. But I don't want you to use that one, because the abstract is already an article summary. Okay? I want you to ignore the abstract and go into the article and find the original purpose statement the authors put in the article. As I said, sometimes when we're lucky, the author's right, the purpose was blah, 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 and I can type, the purpose was. Sometimes we have to look a little bit deeper. But there's no point in reading the article if you don't know what it was they were looking for. The research design, sometimes called the research method, not to be confused with the title methods that tells me how the data was collected. Different method, okay? Research design, again, not always something that you would identify in a summary, but something that I think it's important for you to learn to be able to recognize, all right? So, for example, if we go back to the 2 training programs and the strength, all right? If I was going to study that, the first thing I have to do is test my athlete's strength, right? That's called the pre-test. Then I run program A or program B, and then I post-test. So, the research design is a pre-post-test design, sometimes called repeated measures. Okay. Personally, I think this is the hardest box on the template, the research design, which is why it's only 0.5 of a point, right? But it's good practice for you to try to find that and identify what it is. It probably won't be stated. Might be, sometimes it is, but not always. Okay, so you might have to do a little bit of digging around in the textbooks or even online to see what kind of research designs you can find. Then you're going to highlight the participants. Now remember, this is a summary. Okay, so the point of the summary is to highlight the key things that the person reading the summary has to know. So when I read a summary, i.e. an abstract, right? I read the abstract and I say, okay, do I want to bother reading the whole paper? Well, if the population is 80-year-old Chinese men, whilst that might be interesting, right? I'm not saying that that isn't interesting, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for toddlers and preschoolers. Okay? So I wouldn't read that paper. So when we're trying to fill in the participant box, you want to get the key characteristics of the participants that relates back to the purpose statement. And let me give you an example of that. So let's say I write a paper that says did COVID-19 impact preschool children's object control skills, right? And then in the paper, when I'm talking about the participants, I tell you I had 150 preschoolers. That's important. You have to have the 150, right? Because how many participants there were impacts how valid the study is. Okay? And then I say, of the 150, 80 of them were boys and 70 of them were girls, right? That's interesting, but in the purpose statement I didn't mention sex, I only mentioned preschool children. So, given that you're trying to condense this into less than 300 words, I'm not going to spend loads of words saying there were 80 boys and 70 girls. Save the words for something else. Right? The procedures, you're going to find that often titled methodology or methods. Depends which journal you're looking at. Right? The procedures is the recipe. How did they collect the data? Right? So again, what are the key points of how they collected the data? The data analysis is the statistics that were used, not the software package that was used, but the statistics that were used. If you haven't taken a statistics class, then you're not necessarily going to understand the statistics. That's okay. You don't have to understand it to summarize it. I learned when I was a grad student, right? As long as I can pick it out and put it in my paper, I'm okay. Okay? So, I'm looking for things like, was it a t-test? Was it repeated measures ANOVA? Was it a correlation? Right, those kinds of terms. And if you look in your APA manual, there's a section on how you format statistical verbiage and numbers, so you can always look in there, see if you can find something. If you're near a library that's open, I don't know if there are any libraries that are open, or somewhere online on our library, you might be able to find some other statistics. Or Google, right? But you don't want the software, because the software is irrelevant. Right? It doesn't matter which software package you use. If I put number X and number Y and number Z and I run this statistical analysis, the answer will be the same. It's the analysis that's important, right? Which type of statistics did they run on the numbers? Then, given the statistics that were run, and you want, again, sometimes they're going to run heaps and heaps and heaps of different statistics on all kinds of stuff, that data that they have. Go back to your purpose. Right? What is the key? You want the key things that relate to the purpose. Okay? So, if I pick out the analyses that were done on the key items, the key variables. Okay. Then what I report in the results is the results of those statistical analyses. I don't have to report on all the results that are in the paper, just the really key ones that relate to those independent and dependent variables that were stated in the purpose. Right? You're summarizing. It's hard, I tell you. This is a whole skill in and of itself. Right? We could spend the whole semester just practicing this. We can't because we don't have that much time. But we're going to take a couple of weeks practicing it. Okay? After the results, you have the conclusion. All right? And as with the purpose statement, you're looking for the conclusion sentence given by the authors in the paper. All right? You should be able to find one sentence that states what they think they found in relation to the purpose. Okay? Now, having gone off on my soapbox about plagiarism, I'm going to break the rule a little bit to help you out to start. All right? The conclusion and the purpose statement, I want you to copy exactly what was written in the paper. Only the conclusion and the purpose statement. And my reason for that is that I'm going to assume that you don't have a lot of experience reading research at this point. Depends what your undergrad program was like. Some people come out from an undergrad program where they read research for the last 2 years of their undergrad program, but not all of us had that opportunity, right? So I'm going to assume that you don't have a lot of experience at this right now. And so if you take the purpose and the conclusion and you change those around, like I told you earlier you have to, the problem is you may change the meaning that the authors had, right? So for now, I want you to copy the purpose and the conclusion exactly as you find them in the paper. You're looking for one sentence, right? Again, if you're lucky, the authors say, we conclude that, but again, you don't always luck out with the verbiage. Sometimes you have to dig around a little bit to find the conclusion sentence. Okay. One other rule, and the rules are in the folder right at the top there above the template, so you can look at them again. Remember, only 2 lines typed in each row. You can't add any rows to this template. I'm trying to confine you so that you don't go over your word limit, all right? But if you feel that to do justice to your participants and the characteristics, you need more than 1 row, right? You've typed 2 lines, but you've still got something you want to add. You can steal a row from the conclusion, because maybe your conclusion is going to fit very easily in 4 lines, right? I can steal a row, and I can add it up under participants. Okay? So you can't add any rows to the table, but you can move rows around. You can only type 2 lines in each row, and that will keep you under the 300 word limit. Okay? Bear in mind that if I write an abstract for a conference, sometimes those abstracts have to be less than 200 words. So I have to be able to condense months and months and months and months of work into 200 words or less, right? So being able to summarize is really important. And it will help you then with your other classes because you'll be able to read a paper, summarize it, use that information in your own work. Questions? Anybody got any questions?
No, ma'am.
I made so much sense. Okay, so.
I apologize.
Okay.
It's not pertaining to what you just spoke about specifically, but it was where will the video be posted or the link to the video be posted so that I can go back and reabsorb?
Sure. I'll send you an email. The archive within Collaborate is kind of buried a little bit, so I'll give you directions how to find that. And then I will I'll put a specific link up. I don't know whether I'll open another folder, but I'll put a specific link to the YouTube page for this class. And then I'll email you and let you know where that is. It's probably going to be under lecture notes or something. Haven't decided. That's probably the most sensible place to put it, I think.
Thank you.
Okay? Okay, so article number 1, well, not article number 1, the first article summary that you're going to do is a practice. There's no grade attached to it, all right? So that will allow you to have a go at it, me to give you feedback on it before we do something that's worth some grading, okay? I think that's important because, again, I'm assuming that for most of you this is going to be a relatively new skill, and I don't want you to score poorly on your first attempt and then get demotivated, right? That's no fun. So let's have a practice at it first of all, okay? And then next week we'll do one for grade, all right? But the one this week, and I can't remember whether I put Sunday or Monday. I can't remember when I put the deadline for this. Remember that if you need an extension for the deadline, just drop me an email and ask for one, okay? Don't ask for too big an extension, and I say that not for me, but for you, because every time you extend something, it eats up time for the next assignment, right? So, you know, try as much as possible, any extension requests, try to keep them relatively compact if you can, right? And I think that's it for this evening. Sorry we ran a little bit later than I had hoped, but you've got a lot of reading and stuff to do, so I try not to take up the whole class time, and give you a little bit of breathing space to dig around in Blackboard and find things.
Michael asked where the practice one is located.
Oh, I will open it as soon as we're done. So you'll go to the assignments, and under assignments is an article summaries folder. And when you open that folder, you'll be able to see the practice article and the template and those rules that I just went through, okay? So I will open it up as soon as we finish.
That's the one due Monday at 11.
That sounds good. If Monday is what I put on the syllabus, I don't remember anymore. If the syllabus says Monday at 11, Monday at 11 it is. Yeah, probably because Tuesday I don't have class all day, so I'm hoping I can take a look at them relatively quickly. Ha ha. Anything else?
This practice one is the one that's due on Monday, is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'll type into it and send it back through the grade book so that you can see my comments about what you did. And then we'll have a go at a real one next week. Okay? All right, so I don't have office hours tomorrow. I'm actually fully booked tomorrow. Till like 5. If you think of something and you suddenly go, oh my God, I either forgot or and I don't have time to go back to the video, try to go back to the video to answer questions if you know it's something I covered. But if you come up with other questions, then please do, use that discussion Q&A or drop me an email. But if you put it into the discussion Q&A, I can answer it and everybody can see the answer. And then it helps everybody out. Okay? So you've got 2 options there. You can just drop me an email or you can use the discussion board. All right? Okay, well again, I apologize for all the technical glitches today. I'll have to talk to the distance ed office and ask them if it was us or Blackboard, but I suspect it was Blackboard probably. And they probably underestimated how much usage they were going to get under the pandemic. Okay, all right. I'm going to turn it off and go. If you have questions, let me know. Give it a good go. Don't let it overwhelm you, all right? Grad school is about learning, and you can't learn without making some mistakes, all right? No one is perfect first time out. Never, ever, ever, in any domain. So don't put that kind of expectation on yourself. It will take the fun out of things. All right? Just go into it going, okay, I'm going to give it a good shot, and let's see what she says. Okay? All right, guys. Bye. Have a nice